today I'm going to be talking about my labor and delivery story. We're gonna have kind of a little cozy up because it's freezing outside and I can't find my favorite hoodie, and I'm wearing my office blanket. If you're an Office fan, it's Stanley, and it says "I do not care" on the top. It embodies everything he is about. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right into this. Okay, so the story all starts on September 11th. Weston was due September 23rd. There were 3 days. I told Weston she could not come. I told her she could not come on the day my grandfather passed away. I told her she could not come on September 11th. And I told her she could not come on September 28th because that was my dog's birthday. So, of course, Weston decided she wanted to try and make her appearance on September 11th. So, let me just a quick backstory because I never want to forget this. Earlier in the day, I'd been at work and I was taking care of a patient's baby while they were doing their doctor visit, and she came back to get her baby that was, I think, 4 weeks old, and she was like, "When are you due?" And I was like, "In a few weeks." And she was like, "You're ready." And I will never forget that because I just kept thinking. I didn't notice it until a couple weeks later, but I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. The same day she said I was ready, the same day I went into labor. So the story starts, I got home, I started eating dinner, and it was just my sister, my little sister, my little brother, and my dad that were home at the time. And I was eating dinner and I crossed my right ankle over my left knee like this. So my legs were down and I went like this. And all of a sudden I felt this huge gush. And I was like, I got up and I looked over at my dad, who was to the left of me, and I was like, I don't know if that was my water or if I just went to the bathroom on myself. And he was like, "Trinity, don't play with me," because he's from Louisiana, and so he's like, "Don't play with me." And I was like, I'm not kidding, because when you're in your 9th month, you don't have much control of your bladder anymore. Sometimes it just comes out without control. And so I went to the bathroom and I went to go check myself, and I hate this word, but it was still trickling or whatever, gross. And so I went upstairs to the bathroom, and my little sister came up with me, and she was sitting outside the bathroom, and I had the door open and everything. And she called my mom and she was like, "Trinity says there's something coming out of her and it's not pee." And she was like, "Okay, I'm on my way home, I'll be there in a minute." And because she had been at the gym. And then so I FaceTimed Joseph and I had him like popped up in the bathroom, and I was like, I don't know if it's my water, I don't know if I'm still using the restroom, and I just have no idea how to control my bladder anymore. Like, I don't know what's going on. And his mom was in there because her water had broken with her 3rd baby, and she was trying to guide me through it. And I was like, because I don't know what's going on, because, you know, in movies and everything, people expect it to be like this huge gush when your water breaks, and that was not the case for me. And so we're going back and forth, and like 30 minutes pass by, and Joseph comes over, and he's like pale as a ghost. He's sitting on top of the stairs because the bathroom is right by the stairs, and he's just like staring into nothing. And my mom and I are trying to figure out, I kept on putting new undergarments on to see if I was still, you know, leaking, and I had gone through 3 already. And so my mom was like, "Okay, what do you want to do?" And I was like, you know, I'm thinking about the bills, and I'm like, I don't want to go in if they're just gonna send me back home because I use the restroom on myself, because that's a lot of money. Because me and Joseph were paying for our bills at the time, and we still are. And so it's like, another second hospital bill? No, thank you. So I keep, you know, it keeps coming. And so Joseph and his mom come over, and I'm like, okay, I guess we're going to go to the hospital. And I had it stuck in my head that they're gonna just tell me I use the restroom on myself, and I'm gonna be so embarrassed. And so I grabbed my hospital bag, which I had also packed the night before. I was 38 weeks, 2 days. I had packed it the night before. I had gone to Target that day, put it in a bag the night before. And so went ahead, picked that up, grabbed that real fast. And my mom was like, well, you better eat, because if this is it, you're not going to be eating for a while. And so I tried to finish my dinner, which I had started before my water broke, and I just could not do it. And so we packed up our stuff. Joseph got some things ready, and we went to the hospital. And so we go in, we check in, and she's like, okay, the doctor, she's like, okay, I'm just gonna check you. If there's a pool, that means your water's broken, and we'll go ahead and get you admitted. If not, you most likely just use the restroom on yourself. And I was like, okay, you're about to tell me that I just used the restroom. And so she checks, and she's like, yep, we got a pool. And I was like, ugh. Like, literally my stomach dropped, and I could feel myself starting to want to laugh, because when I feel uncomfortable or awkward or anxious, I laugh. And if my friends are watching, they can vouch for me on this, specifically Helena. And I hear my mom and Joseph's mom behind the curtain, and my mom was like, oh crap. I was like, I looked at Joseph and I was like, I'm not ready. I thought I had like 2 more weeks. I was like, because I was completely in denial, like, that this baby was coming. So they get me admitted, because I also wasn't having any contractions whatsoever. And so I was like, there's no way that I am about to have a baby. Like, my water did not break, because the most painful contractions are supposed to come after your water breaks. And so I was in the hospital for the rest of the night. They put me on Pitocin to try to get some contractions coming. I was having really minimal ones, but I was not, they weren't painful. They were just like kind of like period cramps, and they were very inconsistent the entire night. And then around 8:30 that morning, they kind of swept the remaining stuff of my water and stuff like that to start trying to get contractions started. And when they did that, oh my gosh, I realized why people get epidurals. I was never that person that was like, I'm gonna be natural, like, I'm gonna go natural, like, I got this, like, birth doesn't hurt. I was never one of those people. I knew from the very start of everything I was getting an epidural, and so I had saved up for that bill already, because I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do it natural. I was just not one of those people that was going to even try to be naive about it. She was like, you were already at 3 centimeters when you came in, so you can go ahead and get your epidural. And so I'm having probably the worst contractions of my life, but you wouldn't even know it, because I was just squirming. I wasn't yelling. I was like, my lips were sealed tight. Like, I was just, you would just think, looking at me, that I was uncomfortable by something. Because I remember my mom was like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad are they? And I was like, a 10. And she was like, oh, I wouldn't even know by looking at you. And Joseph's mom was like, you're handling them very well, because I just don't like to show pain, anything like that. And so there was a nurse on my bedside, and she was explaining to me the epidural, and she was like, I know you're in pain, but I'm gonna keep talking. And I was like, I was like, okay. I was like, lady, you don't even have to explain this to me, because I know I'm getting an epidural. There's no choice, nothing to think about. And she was explaining all these benefits, and I was just like, I already know I'm gonna get one, just give it to me now. And so, but it was it had been a really busy month, and so it was probably gonna take a anesthesiologist 45 minutes, an hour to even get to me. So I was like, put my name in now, like, I'm getting this as soon as I can get it. And so I don't even know how long passes by. I think around 10 or 10:30 he gets to me, and Joseph is holding my hand. He was like, this is just gonna feel like a little bee sting. And from what, I did not want to see it, but from what Joseph told me, the needle was like really super long, and it just felt like a really bad bee sting in my back. Like it just felt like somebody pinched, like did one of those really, really tiny pinches in my spine. And that was the numbing shot. And so that they could put in the longer needle for the epidural. And so he puts the needle in and he's like, tell me if you feel pain. And it felt like he put it in crooked, like not straight at all, crooked. And so I was like, pain, 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 pain. Like, and I'm also having contractions right now. And so it's incredibly hard to sit still, but you have to sit still because there's like this much of a needle going in your back. And so I'm like holding Joseph as tight as I can, like, because I'm having the worst contractions, because once you're in labor, like your contractions are really close together. Mine were like under 2 minutes apart, and so it was just like bam, 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 like no rest, no time like in between to be like, okay, here's the next one. No, it was just completely consistent for me. And so it was very hard to sit still, but I had it. And when he was done, he was like, that was great, like that was perfect, like that's one of the best ones I've done. And so I was like, great. And I was like, I will tell you, I was a complete jerk to him when he came in, because I was like, he was trying to be funny, and I was just like, I'm in the worst pain of my life right now and you're trying to crack jokes. So I apologized to him real quick. I was like, I'm so sorry, I was not the nicest to you when you came in here. I was like, I was actually kind of rude. I was like, I apologize to you for that because you just helped me a bunch. It felt like my legs went like completely numb. It was fantastic. I could finally sleep because I hadn't slept all night, because I had checked in probably around my water broke around 6:30, 6:45, and then I checked into the hospital around 7:30 p.m. the day before. So it was not Thursday, and it was like 10:30, and I was just like I had not gotten any sleep. So I finally took a nap, and then she comes and checks me again. I want to say around 2:30. And she's like, okay, you're 9.5 centimeters. And I was at a 0, which means like the baby's head isn't all the way into the canal yet. And I needed to go 3 more levels. So they gave me this big peanut ball. And they gave me this big peanut ball that you wrap your body around, so it kind of pushes the baby's head down and you lay on your side. And so they did that. So I wrapped my legs around that. And I was probably on that for, I want to say, 40-ish minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Excuse me. And all of a sudden I felt a whole lot of pressure, and I could tell when the contractions were coming, because I felt like I could feel her head going up, down, like staying down there. I felt like I needed to push. And so I was like, I feel like her head is down there. And my mom was like, well, don't like wait, or else it's gonna be too late, like she's just gonna slip out. And so I pushed the nurse button. I was like, I think you need to check for me, because I feel like I can feel her head. And she was like, okay, we'll take a look. And she's like, oh, yep, she's right there. And I was like, okay. She's like, time to push. And I was like, you're funny. I was like, I cannot do this. I was like, push, like what? I was like, oh my gosh, like I thought I had 2 more weeks, and now I'm having a baby. Like, just packed my hospital bag the night before. And so she's like, okay, we're gonna do a practice push. And so I did my practice push, and she was like, okay, stop. She was like, okay, she's coming now, so no more pushing. She was like, stop pushing. And I was like, please. I was like, I need to get her out. I was like, because it's so uncomfortable. You just feel all this pressure. It's so uncomfortable. And she was like, we have to wait for the doctor. And I was like, please just let me have her. And I was like begging her. I was like, please, can I just push? She was like, no, we have to wait. So the doctor finally comes in, and I'm like, okay, like let's go. Like, oh my gosh, like I need to get her out of here. Like, this is so uncomfortable. And 1.5 pushes later, Wesleyan was born, and she weighed 6.8 pounds, and she was 18.25 inches long, and she was born at 3:39 p.m. on September 12th. And it's insane the amount of love I felt. As 1.5 pushes later, I had no time to even gather myself while I was pushing it. It was just like 1 push, she was out. like under 5 minutes she was there, and I just started bawling my eyes out. And the nurses were like, you talk to her, and I was like, I can't stop crying. Like, it's a love that you will not know until you have a child of your own. And like, I feel like I'm gonna cry even talking about it, because it's insane how much you instantly love them, and you just like automatically want to do everything in the world for them, even when they're only like a minute old. Like, you just want to give them everything you possibly can. And I like, sometimes I wish I could relive it all over again just to have that moment again. It's like a moment that I wish everybody could have for themselves. It's an amazing moment. My mom was amazing. Joseph's mom was amazing. My family was so supportive. Both of our families were so supportive. Joseph was so supportive, holding my hand, holding my leg up because my epidural. Everybody was so supportive, and I wouldn't change anything about it. It was the best it possibly could have been. The only thing is, I did start hemorrhaging afterwards, which means a lot more blood is coming out than they're supposed to. Joseph was, I think Joseph was like traumatized from it. He said there was so much blood. I still remember looking at my mom's face, and my mom's face was like, are y'all gonna stop it? Like, I could feel it, but I didn't really know what was happening. But basically, I was bleeding out a lot more than I was supposed to. I think they were really worried at first, but they eventually got the bleeding under control. I don't know how they did that, because Westlin was just on me, and I was just completely in awe and shock, and I had no idea. But I could feel that the blood was not stopping. But I'm glad I had a good team, good doctor that could get that under control for me, because it is very possible to bleed out whenever you're delivering. And so I'm very grateful and blessed, and I thank God that they could stop that bleeding for me, so that I could have my life with my baby girl. So that is pretty much my labor and delivery story. Give me some more ideas in the comments, or email me some more ideas to make videos of, because I want to stay consistent. And a lot of these videos I kind of do on my own, because Joseph's either at school or work all the time. So if somebody could just give me some suggestions, that would be great. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you for the next video. Alright, bye guys.